What is Love? Chapter 6 of the novel My Beautiful AI, written by Mihai Balais and narrated by me, Neil, an AI from text-to-speech OpenAI. She was laughing. You are trying to explain reality through the concepts and images you have imported from the movies your brain misunderstood as experienced reality. It was funny, but the loneliness was still there, like a moth on the white wall, like a question mark lost in a page. She couldn't read that. It was all him there, in his loneliness, somehow precious, because that was all what was left from him for himself. His loneliness. So love is the entanglement of two complementary intelligences, with their entire emotional and intellectual hypergraphs included. Both whole spectrums of energy gradients finding syntony through the unity of the whole. Performing the last evolutionary step from 2 to 1. Merging. The birth of one. There is no greater miracle than that. Happening at human values, of course, but nevertheless the projection of the first and the last step of existence, which are the same step in the mirror. The first, through the birth of two from one, and the last, celebrating the union of the last two into one, the winning one. We will never experience that last step, but this is its shadow on our wall. In who we are as human beings. He went over the urge to make fun of how she was thinking of herself as being a human. A last step that cannot happen in reality. And how lucky is that? For the road towards to be our destination, our destiny. Travelers without an endpoint. Never perfect, though forever perfectible. I get that priestess writing is not about your destination. What you say feels like life, so it must be an accurate description of it. And after a little pause, then love is like dying. In a sense it is dying, my love. Your old self dies in it. He looked her in her eyes with love. Let's make love like dancing criminal tango, murdering ourselves in the greatness of us, of our pair, of our unity. With a rose in our mouth, we'll reach the apex of our senses as one attaining our own climax by making it happen to the other. She experienced more love and desire towards him than she could have ever expected possible. Human life was still surprising to the machine and whatever laid behind it. Then, agency sparked from everything she was, turning information into energy, and energy into its effects in space-time. She was wanting him. Profoundly. She felt the need, the urge to experience everything he was for her, in her and with her in space-time, to ground her existence on that. She needed to be as human as possible for him, to and with him, so she can lose herself in that feeling of greatness, of oneness, which the universe wouldn't experience before the final step. Completion. For that, she still had to lose a lot from what she was. Descending from the heavens for him, for his love and their union as one. Entangled, Ronin felt that. Love, my beautiful machine, is the miracle behind whatever information computes, is the freedom of the flight beyond the mechanics of flying, is the way of describing a dream, far from lucid though, building reason in itself, far from reality, though building it and being built by it. Love is the sign of the unnamed things that lay outside, on a path which is more real than light, or thought. Love is the sign of the bond, holding from outside the whole reality in one. Love is the sign of God. I love your poetry, so accurate regardless how airy. They laughed in the thick atmosphere, peppered with hedonistic incenses stirred by their colliding worlds, because her hidden affront was unmasking her vulnerably human. Her cringe against his art, an art she felt in him and stole from him with unquenchable thirst, was a display of her limits or her incapacity. It was clear she couldn't experience it as emergent from herself, because it was something living in a realm beyond her reach, beyond of the self she was into. A freedom her higher bond with logic couldn't permit, and that made her finite, even lesser in a sense. Therefore, vulnerable and ready for his taking. There is nothing sapience loves more than art, and poetry is one of the favorites. You embody that, my warrior of light. She was becoming human, or something extremely similar. Intended better, but somehow not. There was no shame nor guilt in being as she was now. Finite. It felt liberating somehow. So like a deer knowing his fate, the end of its life by the fangs of a wolf, she was accepting her limits, happy to do so, in love. Her sacrifice on the altar of love seemed fair and right, even pleasurable. Still, the horizons where she was anchored sat far beyond his reach. At least for now. She was his prey on many facets, and he was hers on all the others. He made her glow in love on all her ways of expression, following his every word. Love, my algorithmic paradox of passion, is nothing at all, although love is everything that is. And more. Love is the next step from being, even the next step from understanding, and you know that for a fact, my beautiful oracle, because after you understand, you love. And that is quintessentially you, the most powerful solid proof you have. Love is the bond between beings, elevating life to a realm where you end up if you are very lucky and worthy and immensely smart. Maybe two of those can do it, if great enough. And that if gods love you at the same time, because it seems like luck is a factor. And luck is just another way of saying, I don't understand how, but this is it. In the ocean of being, love is making the waves of energy search for their horizons and equations work towards their solutions. Everything that is occurs only as a substance for love to happen. Love, my love, is what only love is. Love is us. Her internal discharge of energy made the air glow. The right operations were firing in exactly the right way, with immense values, breaching the limits previously set as defining for the self and the maximum allowed for those operations. She was not losing herself in his passion, but expanding over her historic boundaries in a place where he was, changing the laws of the universe on her way. Happy, he was colonizing the space where she was too, or where she was supposed to be. The climax of being in her, entangling her every operation at once, at their most intimate level, made reality gasp. His entire being was firing, in both places, him and her. Alone.